Hi, and welcome to SEO Hangouts with Josh Bachynski. C'est moi. Uh, the date is May 30th, 2015, so we're halfway through 2015. And at the beginning of the year, actually back in November of 2014, I put out a basic SEO course for 2015 of what I predicted was going to be the factors for 2015. So I just want to see now, we're halfway through, and I just want to see now, based on the research that I'm doing, the experiments that I do, the sites that I rank hundreds of sites. And I have lots of people coming to me and telling me what they're doing, we discuss. And also what our friends over at Google are telling us and what's going on in the industry. I want to see if those ranking algorithms are still working kind of how I think they are. And so I have a lot to go over, a couple months of Google information, and I'm just going to go through it really quickly. I have a better microphone, so hopefully my voice sounds better, but I'm still going to be talking fast. So if you want to hear what I say, please go over it again and listen to the video again. Okay, with that being said, so back on Friday the 13th, great date, in March, John Mueller had a hangout, and so I'm just going to go through these things like rapid fire, and I'm going to kind of connect them at the end. So we're going to start. John Mueller said that he was talking about hreflang. Now, hreflang and rel canonical are two different things. Rel canonical is a tag you put in your HTML to tell that these pages are duplicates of this canonical page, and these pages have a rel canonical link tag with a rel canonical in them, specifying this page if they wanted this to be the canonical. And hreflang kind of works in the same way. So you have an English version, French version, German version. You would have an hreflang in all three versions saying this is the English version. I'm getting confused. This is the English version, this is the French version, this is the German version. And the same hreflang would be in all of them. And it would say if you want French, you would go to here. If you want German, you would go here. And it would be in all three. And John Mueller mentioned that, and I quote, one really strong website in one location would rank everywhere if the hreflang worked like a rel canonical. So he's saying that it doesn't really work that way, but it does show what he was talking about. It does show that there's many ranking factors that are location specific. Such as local links, local references, local semantics, both on and off page, local ratings, local IP addresses coming to your site, local social talking about you, and local traffic. In theory, of course, this is all part and parcel of local SEO for those guys who are doing it. Make sure all your, don't just focus on links. In fact, I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, how you really shouldn't be focusing on links, in my opinion, at all. And but what you should focus on is local references, local citations, local people, local social, local ratings, local reviews, local, both crazy and local stuff going on, talking about your site, talking about you and your brand and what's going on. And if you're going to rank in different areas, remember that the hreflang does not forward all the signals, but to quote John Mueller, he said, some amount of crosstalk happens there. So not as many signals as the rel canonical, but it does tell Google to transfer some signals. So the English site, the French site, and the German site, they all have to have their own SEO as well. So don't think the hreflang is just going to rank all of them. But they do kind of cluster it a little bit. So the rankings you're getting for the English site might help a little bit the German site, a little bit. But given that Google is becoming so task completion oriented and so site-specific signal oriented, I'm not sure exactly, and not just throwing links to the cluster of sites, I'm not sure how much that's going to help. Okay, next. He said something else regarding their quality algorithms. He said, don't copy your whole website to another language regarding these languages on your own domain, because that's going to, quote unquote, dilute your content across the website. This was interesting. So he was referring to different languages, and he was referring to potential spamming if someone's doing it, if they're copying your site and moving it to another site. And anyway, my uptake of what he was talking about here is this strongly implies that a number of thin pages on domains crosses a threshold for their quality algorithms, which a lot of people have speculated before, and I've said before. But there's another piece of evidence to suggest that's the case. So again, you want to make sure every single page on your website is useful. And if you have tons of pages that are not useful or tons of pages that are duplicated, this or even vaguely duplicated in purpose and or in actual content, like you have a You have a best Xmas gifts, and you have a best Christmas gifts page, and you have a good Christmas gifts. You have a bunch of pages with synonyms. Trying to target multiple queries. That is the exact wrong way to go about SEO these days. In fact, I want to say this last year, I've had maybe 30, 40 customers come to me, all with big blogs on their website that they thought were high quality, but they're not. It sounds very rude, and I'm very sorry to say it this way, guys, but quite frankly, if you think your blog is high quality, that doesn't matter. If I think it's high quality, that doesn't matter. What matters is what your users think. If your users think it's high quality, because Google's directly tracking, and I'm going to talk more about how Google's directly tracking user metrics, what users are doing, user clicks on the page and around the page, and what they're going from the SERP back to your page. They're directly tracking what's going on there. And you have to make sure your users are, being greatly informed and are loving your information. But even more importantly, too, they stay on the site and they actually buy. They stay on the site and they actually do other stuff, as opposed to go back to Google. Not only do you want to rank well, but you want to convert as well, of course. So if your blog is not helping you, and I'm finding to do that, people are really starting to expect really, really good articles and really, high quality content. So if your content is not super high quality, if your content is not super interesting to them, if they're not sharing it of their own volition, if they're not commenting, this is a great article, thanks very much. If that's not happening, then that tells you it's not good content, right? And that's the level you need to go to. And you might think, well, wow, Josh, it's really hard to get people to do that. And my answer is, yeah, it is. And that's, sorry, but that's the kind of content that Google's looking for. So if you can't, and it takes a lot of money and time to do that. So if you can't put out the time and money to do that, then quite frankly, the blog is not helping you. I would suggest you check to see the traffic on it. And if you're not getting any rankings on those pages, not getting any traffic on those pages, or quite frankly, those people are bouncing in droves and or they're not staying on the site, then you don't need it. You don't need to make content that's not going to help you make sales. And this content could also be hurting you as well. Back in 2010, it was the standard industry practice to have a blog with a bunch of, you check all your long tail keywords and you make pages about those long tail keywords to try and rank for them, to both rank for your site in general, but to keep people on the site and maybe they'll make a purchase. That does not work anymore. That is exactly what Google's quality algorithms are looking for. And you notice that I'm not really going to say Panda anymore because I think they've deprecated Panda. I don't think they're running Panda anymore, or Panda has morphed into the real-time Panda Terminator that's running real-time or something. I'm going to talk about that. In fact, I have a lot of evidence to talk about that. Anyway, so my point is, I see it again and again. Guys, don't run a blog. Don't think this should not be your go-to SEO move anymore to run a blog. It's not going to help you. In fact, it's going to hurt. It's probably going to hurt you more than help you, not only in terms of the cost required, but it's probably going to demote your site. Okay, speaking of which, he spoke of Panda, and he said, we look at everything around this website, quote unquote. And regarding their quality algorithms, John Mueller says, how do you fix the quality algorithms? Well, now this is very important. Listen to this. He says you have to get test users. You have to get their opinion. You have to, and I quote, watch how they navigate your site, end quote, and how trustworthy do they find it. So watch how they navigate. Google is tracking, they put out a video about microconversions. Miley Oyi, a Google employee, programmer's tech lead, has been talking about task completion at Google for the last 2 or 3 years. She's been talking about it. They've been looking at task completion. I think that they are now watching clicks directly in Chrome. They aggregate the clicks in Chrome. Don't forget they have 40 to 50% market share in Chrome, so they could very well use it as a ranking signal if they want to. Some people speculate they're doing it through the safe browse mechanism, which is the mechanism that checks everything you click to make sure and compares it to a database to see if that URL is in the malware database, and if it is, throw up that big red screen. That's how it works. It doesn't work on mobile. And so you notice they have a separate mobile quality algorithm, which is very interesting. Another telling piece of information. On desktop, they don't have they did. It was called Panda, and it ran for years every month. They haven't run it for almost a year now, or for half year, 8, 9 months, whatever it is. A good chunk of time. You can't tell me an algorithm that was so important they were running it monthly, they're not going to run it anymore. Obviously, they've moved on to something better. And this is this real-time Panda, if you want to call it Panda, or this real-time quality algorithm that John Mueller is mentioning just directly now. He's just talking about it directly now. I've got him saying it a bunch of times, which I'll tell you. And he did mention that Panda or their quality algorithms does crawl and process the crawled data, and that crawled pages is the current state they're looking at. So they look at the current state with their quality algorithms. That was March 13th. Now, around March 25th, a good friend and contact of mine, who was asked to remain nameless, mentioned to me that he had a private conversation with John Mueller after a hangout. And that, quite frankly, John Mueller had confirmed bluntly that local sites with Penguin can still rank. If local sites are hit by Penguin, they can still rank because local signals are different than the global ranking signals, and that the local team and the web spam team, quote unquote, don't share algos, that's a direct quote, or data, or, and I quote, talk to each other. What? So I believe this guy when he tells it to me because he's a good guy and we've talked a lot about SEO. And quite frankly, what I take from this, if your local sites don't have to worry about Penguin too much because Penguin doesn't affect their ranking in local that much, then that tells you that Google is ranking local sites on different kind of local signals. And they're not ranking on global signals like links from China or Russia if they're an American plumber, you know? The kind of spam links that people have been buying and unfortunately are still buying. I still get people emailing me, should I use GSA? Should I use, you know, this kind of linking? Should I buy links on Fiverr? The answer is no. The answer for well over a year has been no. Don't do that. You're wasting your time. You have no idea how the algorithms are working these days. Yeah, it's a minor signal and yeah, you could rank off it, but there's so much risk involved. And quite frankly, Google ignores 90% of those links more or less. They have a real-time Penguin running. In my opinion, they have, well, whether you want to call it Penguin or not, it's in the same boat as Panda. I think they're not running Penguin anymore. And they did admit that they're going to run real-time web spam algorithms. And John Mueller has admitted, point blank, people love when I say that, he has admitted that they're running real-time web spam algorithms. And when he says web spam algorithms, he means link algorithms. He means something, he means Penguin or something just like Penguin. So, and I think this goes to show what I said in my SEO course. If you haven't watched it, check it out. It's at j.mp/josh2015, or it's in my YouTube channel where you're probably watching this video. By the way, if you want to contact me for anything, you can email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com for any SEO questions you may have. Any SEO consulting you may need. That's what I do, other than make documentaries about Google and make them very angry. I make TED Talks and talk about Google and make them very angry. By the way, I'm making a documentary about Google and I'm making a TED Talk about Google. My TED Talk is going to be in Belfast, Ireland, November 30th. It's a TEDx Oma, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. It's a Celtic word. I'm not sure I got that right, but I think I got it right. Anyway, so yeah, so you can check out my basic to advanced 2015 SEO course on this YouTube channel, youtube.com/jbachins, and a direct link to that course is j.mp/josh2015. Okay, moving right along. Let's see if I can move this here so I can read and look at myself at the same time. Check my hair, make sure my hair's all good. Being the vain young man that I am. Unfortunately, it looks terrible. That's you know, I'll make it all kind of emo, like I'm an emo kid. There we go. No, it looks bad. Again, March 27th, John Mueller admitted that March 27th, there was another one of these phantom updates that these people like to talk about. And Barry Schwartz's site from SE Roundtable, who had a legacy Panda demotion from way back, also got boosted at this time as well. So we know he was hit by Panda. John Mueller confirmed he was hit by Panda, and his site jumped up this time. So we know it was Panda or some kind of quality algorithm, right? Whatever they're calling it now. You know, Cheetah, whatever you want to call it. Phantom, people are calling it Phantom because they don't know what to call it. Just like they call the sandbox, so they don't know why they're not ranking. It's a sandbox. They have no idea. It could be many things. So John, and at the time, so John Mueller confirmed that they have quality algorithms running in real time. And John Mueller said they were confused. He was confused because it seemed to hit many sites at once. So he went and checked with the programmers, and they said, yeah. And then they gave this answer, which John Mueller gave, which is that's just their regular algorithms they have running all the time that are just assessed for quality and relevance and just run all the time. So that's how their quality algorithms are running now. They're running real time on crawl per each site and as they process the user signals for each site. I don't even know if they're ever going to run the Panda adjustment again because they don't need to. They've evolved into this new real-time system, which is better, right? So well, in fact, that they barely need links or any other of these kind of signals. And I'll get to that in a second. But I think it's Panda or the son of Panda, because Barry's site got better at the same time, and a lot of Panda sites got better at the same time. So they thought it could be Panda, but it didn't look like their standard Panda adjustment. Because remember, the old Panda, like if you check my Panda list, and they could still be looking for this, so I'm not going to take it down. But if you check my old Panda list, they were checking for static things, like stuff that can be a signal of low quality, but may not be. Like you have too many pop-up ads, you have too many interstitial ads, or you had too many SEO keywords on your page or stuff like that. As opposed to now just looking at the user metrics, and it doesn't matter what your page is about. They just say, did people like it? Yes, good, rank it, right? They don't look at the page necessarily. I think they're still doing a combination of both. I think in the past it was like 80% checking on page, 20% user metrics. But now that they have more people using the Chrome browser and more people using the Android phone and better access to faster internet and more processing power and things like that, I think they've moved more. Now it's like 80% tracking user experience, user metrics, and only 20% on page factors and stuff like that. That's my guess based on what's going on, but all of this is my guess based on what's going on. Any SEO is only going to tell you their guess based on what they see going on. The difference is that I look a lot. I do a lot of research, and I talk with these Google people and other contacts quite a bit. Okay, so let's scroll down. Let's see what else we had. Okay, so April 7th, John Mueller mentioned a bunch of stuff. He mentioned a lot of stuff that I've already said I'm not going to go over. He just reiterated we have real-time quality algorithms running, blah, 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 blah. They look for the Panda-esque kind of stuff. He also said, and remember, he said point blank, he said they ignore all spam-looking links. And that includes, and this is his words, any public domain links, any public blogs. So he was talking about negative SEO, but I'm going to say this for anyone who still thinks that strategy works. I think you're ranking in spite of yourself if you're ranking, quite frankly. A lot of people say you're a liar, you need links. And I'm saying there might be some niches where, you might still need some links, but not a lot. And if you look at my video at j.mp/josh2015, I am now ranking a site. It had 7 links in Webmaster Tools at the time. I am now ranking a site, page 1, sometimes ranking close to spot 1, in a very spammy niche, in a very high competition skincare niche, with 1 link, 1 reported link in Webmaster Tools. It had 7, all of 7 links, and they're not powerful like newspaper links or anything. They were like some spammy Russian blog that I made in 2012 when I fired up SE Nuke, before the first Penguin, which that site was hit with, by the way, and then I fixed it using certain interesting technical SEO tactics. If you want to know about, by all means, contact me. I'm famous for it, in fact. They call me the Penguin Whisperer. Jealous people call me the Penguin Whisperer. And they write terrible character assassination pieces that sound like they're written by an 8-year-old who's upset with their mommy. But yes, it still works. I just did it in March. So it still works. And so if you think you've been having linking problems, if you think you're having any SEO problems at all, contact me and I'll do what I can to help you out. But yes, so if you're doing that, don't especially do it on any public domain or any public kind of looking blogs. Like any public blogs, anyone can log in, or it's about multiple topics. They're going to ignore those links, period. They might not ignore no follows, and they might not ignore text mentions on those sites that will tell Google, and that which John Mueller is going to admit, I'm going to talk about in a second, is a minor signal that might help you rank, quote unquote, a minor signal. I'll mention that in a second. So got to pay attention to what John Mueller is saying now. He's directly denying some things, and he out of the side of his mouth says some things might be a minor signal, meaning it could be actually a pretty big signal. Or if you put 3 or 4 of those minor signals together, that could be the major signal you need to do now. Anyway, okay. Now, to contradict myself entirely, which is the interesting point, John Mueller is actually to both to contradict myself and to go with exactly what I was saying about John Mueller denying things outright. He was asked, this is April 7th again, you can check out the Hangout, April 7th. He was asked, and he claims point blank that both Panda and Penguin are still push-based algorithms. So, and he maintained it a number of times since then, that Panda and Penguins are push-based, they're manual updated algorithms, he says, aka not running real time, and that you won't see any changes until the manual team, like they run constantly, they run in real time constantly, but you're not going to see any changes, he claims, from Panda and Penguin until the manual team runs a process to compile some data and copies that data into the algorithms, and then the algorithms process it, and then they send out their changes, right? AKA the way it used to run, the way it's been running, a big Panda push or big Penguin push. Now, there could be a couple things. One, I'm wrong. And there's other algorithms that have nothing to do with quality, nothing to do with web spam, which directly contradicts what John Mueller said. He said quality algorithms are running real time, web spam algorithms are running real time. So I think it's pretty clear that Panda and Penguin have simply been deprecated. Google has legal issues that I know about, that Matt Cutts himself told me about, that calling sites low quality and saying that they've been hit by Panda, which they said was the low quality algorithm, which was kind of like a defamation kind of issue. And that's the kind of some lawsuits that they had to deal with. So I find it highly likely that they just deprecated the Panda and Penguin algorithm. They're outdated. They don't need to run that anymore. They have these new user metric algorithms. I have them patent for it. In fact, I'll tell you about it in a second. And I think that's just been deprecated. And they check the quality in real time in some other algorithm that we don't know the name of, and that they're not going to name. We've asked John Mueller to name it. He refuses to name it. He just keeps, whenever you ask him about Panda, oh yes, Panda, we don't run it. We haven't run it for a while. I don't know if we'll run it again, blah, blah, blah. That's fine, right? So it's a smoke screen, right? It's a pretty semi-clever smoke screen that they have to do for a number of reasons. So we keep asking, what about Panda and Penguin? Nothing. And what did my website go down? Oh, quality algorithms. Okay, well, it's the same thing. Panda was their main quality algorithm. So you can call it Panda if you want or not. And then he confirms this directly afterwards when he says, and I quote, "Just because Panda and Penguin are not updating does not mean quality or web spam does not play a role anymore," end quote, meaning in ranking. He was talking about ranking and talking about things running on a regular basis. So he said, and I'll repeat it again, "Just because Panda and Penguin are not updating does not mean quality or web spam does not play a role anymore." So clearly he's admitted they're running web spam algorithms. He's admitted they're running quality algorithms on a regular basis. Whether they are actually Panda or Penguin or not is irrelevant. It's beside the point, right? So everything is running in real time on crawl on a regular process of your site. So you cannot wait for a big industry slip up. You can't wait for a big industry change. You can't wait for a bunch of people to go down and some SEO pundit to say, "I think it was Panda because I looked at the sites and from my from the hip guess is that these were low quality." Like, they have no idea. That's a from the hip guess. That's even more from the hip than what I'm doing here, right? So you need to do science-based SEO. You need to read between the lines of what John Mueller is saying, but you also need to look at your user metrics and you need to look at your stats, your statistics, and make the site actually better. We have to buy into the Google Kool-Aid and actually make the sites better. But that means a specific thing. It means you have to look at your statistics, and your statistics tell you if you made the site better. Your conversions tell you if you made the site better. Your micro conversions, your task completions tell you if you made the site better or not. Not any, including me, not any SEO idiot's opinion of whether or not looks like a good site to me, Jiminy Jillikers. Sorry, these people piss me off. They waste people's money and it ticks me off. Which I've told them and they vilified me. That's why I don't make any Whiteboard Fridays on Moz anymore for the most part. That's why they're not my friend, which is fine. I have plenty of friends. Okay, so the question is, well, what quality signal? So I was at this hangout. So I asked John Mueller, well, what should we watch out for? And he said these were technical signals, but he's using code to talk to me, right? These are quality signals, as you'll agree when you hear about it. He said, make sure you don't have, and I quote, big pop-ups, quote, rendering problems, quote, your content is not shown properly, quote, using Ajax or any JS or CSS blocked by robots. And I quote, that will play a big role in demoting, that's the quote, play a big role in demoting or causing a problem for your website. So again, that's some of the static things that were in the old Panda algorithm, in my Panda list. Just search Panda list and it'll come up on my site, themoralconcept.net /pandalist.html. But it's also partly user metrics based as well, right? So you see there used to be like 80% that and 20 user metrics. Now I think it's like 80% user metrics to get that system running better. He also said, and I quote, the various web spam algorithms are always running. And I quote, the way the content is presented, he said, the way it works with the rest of the web and users, how we think it is relevant. This takes into account the content, takes into account basically everything. So in my opinion, click-through rate. And I quote to quote him again, things change and maybe this site isn't so relevant anymore. I repeat, things change and maybe this site isn't so relevant anymore. They're watching traffic patterns. That's how they get the autocomplete, both in the Chrome bar. Don't forget they have autocomplete in the Chrome bar. A lot of people are underestimating and forgetting about that. And they have autocomplete in, of course, the Google search page, right? And so and I quote again, how things change and maybe the site isn't so relevant anymore. That's what they're watching. They're watching micro-conversions from the initial search to the end person terminated the search. He also said we don't rely on 1 to 2 algorithms anymore or 1 to 2 things anymore. So it's not about specificity and links anymore. It's about 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 different things. I said, well, what about the 23 questions? They still, we talked about the 23 questions. Is that still something you can go by? And he said it's not relevant anymore. It's not how our algos see quality. How our algos see quality, he said. And he said, and I quote him again, we have changed the way a lot of those signals work. Again, not the 80-20 for on-page user metrics. It's mostly based on user metrics, as I said. He said tasks are important. Users must, and I quote, complete a transaction. If not, this will demote you. The quote is complete a transaction. He was talking about that being a ranking problem if they don't. So I said, basically, this is our conversation. So I said, basically, you have to look at being maximally usable and relevant online. And he said, and I quote, that's a good first step. Then he said, you have to watch spam as well. I'm quoting him. Like just filled with ads, just driving traffic to other sites. Is the content actually relevant? Is it useful? End quote. So again, this is the stuff they're watching for in real time. I really want to tell you, it's not about just firing up a crappy blog and pointing links at it. That's so 2010. Sorry, not to sound colloquial when I say that, but really, guys, and I know everyone says this, but I'm trying to say how specifically it's not working that way anymore. Also, John Mueller admitted that he admits that there's certain business models that just don't have a chance. There's certain business models that just don't work anymore, quote unquote. For example, he said, no one is doing directory sites anymore, quote unquote. Well, that's terrible for people that I know who are trying to run small local directories for areas. But he admitted it point blank that that's just not going to work anymore. Just a small aside, the audacity of Google to admit point blank that they've decided in their holier than thou opinion that business model just shouldn't be on the interwebs any longer. Or shouldn't get any attention in them, the majority search engine. They don't feel they have any responsibility to the public or to the internet at all in that regard. Okay, so moving along, April 10th. I said I'm going to move fast if I can. April 10th, John Mueller said, if we can crawl better, we can pick up content faster. That means that QDF, Query Deserves Freshness, if it will help at all, will boost you. So if you're on a topic that has anything to do with freshness would be more important for people to hear about, then if you're updating on a regular basis and they can crawl it faster and you don't have any crawling problems, that will be a ranking signal for you. And a different Google employee confirmed that recently as well. Someone who designs for Google. Okay, moving right along. Okay. So, April 22nd, I ran an experiment, and I can't really show you the results of the experiment because it was a client site. Well, I wasn't running an experiment. I was trying to rank a client site, and it worked. you know, we were doing a social campaign, and when I say experiment is because I didn't think it would work so well as it did. It was a small social. It didn't go super viral. We did Reddit posts, Facebook posts, Twitter posts, and Google Plus posts. It got maybe 100 clicks in total, um, but it did greatly increase the direct. Both two things which were interesting. Both eventually the organic rankings in like a few weeks, but almost right away the direct traffic went up, and the direct traffic and the organic rankings kind of went up together, ignoring the social refers, and then their impressions in ranking in organic for certain related semantics to the viral campaign. The viral campaign was about making your own flag or designing your own flag, your own custom flag, and their rankings for that shot up anywhere from 200 to 800%. Their impressions shot up. I'm looking at the graph here, anywhere from 200 to 800%. Ranking shot up 30 spots in some cases to a bunch of page one rankings on a bunch of queries related to that thing. So this is what happened, guys. Google saw that a bunch of people were gone viral on that topic. You can make your own flag here. You can make your own custom flag here. Hummingbird will just smudge out all those keywords. It's not like a one-to-one keyword thing anymore. They're like, create your own flag, design your own flag, make my own flag, flag designer, misspellings of flag designer software. That's all the people looking for the same stuff. Google knows this. And so it's like, okay, people are talking about this like crazy on a bunch of things. They got a bunch of clicks on that as well. Not just talking and then no clicks through because it's just fake social accounts. There was clicks through them, right? And what happened was they got a bunch of direct traffic. Now, either two things there happened, right? So my point is, even minor social buzz can get you big organic shifts, right? This was not a huge campaign with thousands of shares. It had 100, kind of click-throughs kind of thing, and maybe, 50 shares or something like that. It was a minor thing. But because it was about what they wanted to rank for, it was about designing your own flag loosely on page and in Facebook on the page that they're pointing to, and in a Facebook ad. It was from a Facebook ad as well, is the interesting thing. And so either Google could read Facebook ads, which is entirely possible, and if it shows up on a public page, they can spider it, or they're tracking click-through rates or Reddit click-through rates. They might even be tracking that through Chrome. They might even be tracking that through the safe browse to see who's clicking what and counting that as a valid link or vote, right, or a signal to boost, because they got a vote that someone thought it was good enough to click on. Also, the direct traffic, either people saw the brand name of this customer in the ad and whatnot and then decided to search it out, or what I think happened is, and I can't test this myself because I don't have access to a bunch of different people in different places, but I think the Chrome autocomplete in the URL bar updated because it seemed like it was a new thing, and they got a bunch of direct traffic from that because they got a lot of direct traffic from that. And then they got the rankings from that, and they got the ranking click-throughs from that. So they got social traffic from it, direct traffic from it, and organic traffic from it, just from what I would consider a minor campaign. And they also said when you searched out these people, and they also tell you in the SERP that say we'll call them. I don't want to name the customer. Say we'll call them Jim Bob's flag makers. And it was Jim Bob Flag Maker on Facebook. That was the name of their page. And it says, facebook.com/flagmaker on their SERP and Google SERP. Jim Bob Flag Makers from Minneapolis. They have 1,300 likes and 5 people talking about this. 5 people talking about this. It says those words in the Google SERP. Google knows very well. And this is the Facebook post, right? Google knows very well of the social interaction going on there. And that is a ranking signal. They're tracking that. So that's a very important thing to keep in mind. Again, I'm building my case about what's going on, adding to what I've already said about 2015 SEO. Okay, now we're moving into May. May 5th, John Mueller had another hangout. And he said, and I quote, most of our web spam algorithms look at the site level. He said, most of our web spam algorithms are looking at the site level. So if Penguin is a web spam algorithm, and that's one of the algorithms he's talking about, or whatever the son of Penguin, whatever real-time link-based web spam algorithm, which he's usually talking about links when he talks about web spam, is going on now. That means that Penguin is attacking the site level, or the current web spam algorithms we need to worry about is looking at the site level. So keep that in mind. John Mueller explained it a little bit more, so let me explain it to you. He said, we look at the links going to a page. So they say these are pages on the site. We look at links that are going to a page, and then we might pass PageRank and rank this page appropriately, up or down, right? He said appropriately. He didn't say we might boost it. He said appropriately. So I think, to me, that means up or down. So a page can go up or down. And he said if there's too many, quote unquote, problematic links, and if then we will hit the whole site. So if there's too many problematic links, they will hit the whole site. So even if this page has too many problematic links, the whole site, all the pages on this site, the rankings are going to go down. He also implied that these web spam algorithms he's talking about are ongoing. They're running on an ongoing basis. They're running in real time. They don't have to run an update anymore. They're not going to run, I suspect they're not going to run a Panda or Penguin update. They might just do it. They might say they do it just to throw us off the track, or maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe like they can't do everything in these real-time algorithms, so they still have to run the adjustment, but much less. Because remember, they were running Panda. They didn't run Penguin very often, but they were running Panda every month for years. So it was very important to them. So he also insists that the disavow file works for this. Again, I've never been able to confirm the disavow file helps. Anybody who claims it has, I've challenged them, and they have never been able to prove the disavow file works. So I infer from that it probably doesn't. The only time I've seen people get out of Penguin legitimately is by deleting the backlinks or doing some tricky kind of stuff, which you can try. So he also insisted, and I quote, if you're not promoting your website with weird link schemes, end quote, then you don't need to run a monthly link audit, and you don't need to fill up your disavow file. Okay, keep that in mind. Now, on May 6th, another client contacted me and talked to me about one of their sites in I think, weight loss niche. This was Phantom 2. Now, remember, they've been running a couple of, this has been called in the industry Phantom 2. It's around May 6th. And he was boosted on that date. And he said, and I quote, we just hooked up the order page a month previous. They just hooked up the order page. And they have a lot of good references on Amazon. And they were doing some social, some links. And all the links were non-exact match query aggressive. And so because they just hooked up the order page, obviously now they're getting conversions, and now they're getting, now they pop out, right? I looked at them. They looked like they're very good quality. It was a very beautiful design, and it was a very good user interface. If you wanted to convert, the button to convert was right there in the pretty design. Clearly, if you wanted to get access to this supplement or whatever it was, you would get it quickly. Users weren't confused using the website anyway. So I think, again, that's good circumstantial evidence, building a general case towards what's going on about task completions. I know they have good task completions because I saw their stats. They just hooked up the order page, and then they pop out, and they're ranking all of a sudden. They had good mentions on Amazon. That's that off-page schema that's so important I've been talking about back in my video. If you don't know what I'm talking about, j.mp/josh2015. So again, this is more evidence. I'm going to move on to more. Okay, on May 8th, John Mueller admitted that a high bounce rate is bad in a subtle, if you want to clean up your analytics, start there kind of way. And that if people are going to your site for the wrong keywords or are just bouncing, that this is as bad as having low quality and should be cleaned up. And he admitted both on their end, on Google's end, and ultimately on your end. So I repeat, that if people are going to your site, if Google decides to try your site for queries that it's not tailored for, And so, AKA the wrong keywords, or the people are just bouncing because they don't like the quality, or because it's just not, they haven't got unfortunately, they missed, the Hummingbird screwed up, and they haven't got a one-to-one correlation. That's bad, and you got to clean that up. A high bounce rate, he admitted, is bad in, not in they use it as a ranking signal, but he subtly admitted, well, if you're having trouble ranking and you want to check your analytics, check your bounce rate, because it's an analytics thing, so he kind of subtly mentioned it. He did not directly say it, but he did, in my opinion, subtly say that high bounce rate is a bad thing to look for. Because this discussion was in the context of a site not ranking very well. Okay, on May 13th, Google was awarded a patent. It was a patent from Navneet Panda. Yes, that Navneet Panda, the guy who wrote Panda. This patent was filed in 2012, a year after the first Panda algorithm came out. And just listen to the abstract. I'll just read you the abstract, and you tell me if it sounds like what I've been talking about. It talks about how they would develop a score, and they could rank a page based on a quality score. And, now I'm quoting it, the score is determined from quantities indicating user actions of seeking out and preferring particular sites and the resources found in particular sites. So users go out and find particular sites and the resources on those sites. A site quality score for a particular site can be determined by computing a ratio of the numerator that represents user interest in the site as reflected in, and here's the important part, user queries, search queries directed to the site, and a denominator that represents user interest in the resources found in the site as responses to queries of all kinds. The site quality score for a site can be used as a signal to rank sites, rank resources, to rank search results that identify resources, so social pages too, anything, that are found in one site relative to resources found in another site. So directly there, I mean, if you can read between the lines, that's a little bit technical, but if you can read between the lines what they're saying there, they're saying, we're going to watch what people search, we're going to watch what they click on, we're going to watch what they like, we're going to watch what they search and what they go to, and that's going to tell us the semantics of what searching for XYZ, and they find page ABC and terminate, well then ABC is related to XYZ, and they're going to use that in their Hummingbird algorithm. They're going to use that relative to resources found on another site. They're going to rank sites based on that information of the user searches and what the users are finding. That is considered a vote. That's why John Mueller has been telling us to have a simple defined brand name. That's why John Mueller has been telling us it's important to make sure you get micro conversions. So there you go. There's the patent, right? Filed a year after the first Panda came out. So this is what they've moved to now. This is the system they've moved to. This is everything I've been talking about in my SEO course, which has about 70,000 views now, by the way. May 19th. Fellow came on to John Mueller's Hangout, and he was talking about having a penguin problem on his site, and I think that's probably true. I think he also had a panda problem. I've looked at the site personally. John Mueller admits that a redesign can have a significant effect on your website's rankings. So he said a redesign can have a significant effect on your website's rankings. It's not just a minor thing, it's a major thing. He said, quote unquote, the normal algorithms now include quality algorithms. Our algorithms say, and I quote, this looks really high quality. People want to see it. John Mueller said, we are not waiting for an algorithm refresh. And he implies that it doesn't work that way anymore. Maybe they're not even going to release a big algorithm anymore, that everything is running in real time. So I think that their quality algorithms, he's clearly admitted their quality algorithms and their web spam algorithms are running in real time. Whether you want to call that Panda or Penguin or not, it doesn't matter. I think those algorithms have been deprecated. Because remember, when Google thinks about an algorithm, they think about who wrote it and how it works in the background. So how they used to run Panda, yeah, Panda is dead. But Panda is dead, long live Panda, right? Panda is dead, but the quality algorithms still run, and they just don't run it in the way they used to run it. And the important part there is that design is a huge part of it, and John Mueller directly admitted it. Point blank. Oh, he also admitted that Phantom 2, that May update that people don't know what it's about, and some people guess it's Panda, and some people, they're guessing. They have no idea, right? They need to listen to what John Mueller is saying here. John Mueller directly says that it was real-time, quote-unquote, relevance and quote-unquote quality update that they, quote, make all the time. So he's admitting, he's saying, guys, out of the side of his mouth, he's like, pay attention to what I say. We're running quality algorithms that check for relevance in real time. So work on the website in general, look on the design, look at the UI. In my opinion, you have to look at task completion and microconversions. You have to make it as best as possible. And he said, get user satisfaction. You have to find whether users are getting stuck, quote unquote. I repeat, he said you have to find where the users are getting stuck. Stuck was his exact word. So that's task completion right there. You have to find where the micro conversions, where they go to the index page, they go to the product page, but they're not buying. Okay, you need to fix that. Oh, but not enough people are going from the index page to the product page. You need to fix that. Okay, now they're going to the index page, they see the big banner, they click that, they go to the product page, but now they get to the form, they fill in 2 fields in the form, and then they bolt because the form is huge. You got to fix that, right? You got to fix every single thing. You need to think like an internet marketer. The affiliates and internet marketers fixed this problem years ago because they realized it costed them money. So even if it's not an SEO signal, which I know very well it is, but even if it's not an SEO signal, you got to fix it anyway because it's going to increase the amount of money you make. If you're getting 100 visitors to your site, but only 10 of them are filling out, eventually making a purchase because the other 90 get distracted or bored or pissed off and they leave, you need to fix that. And it's also going to make 1,000 people come to your site eventually when Google realizes they can safely send traffic to you. Okay, what else we got here? John Mueller also admitted again that people talking about your brand might increase your traffic, and this might increase your rankings. People are asking him, well, what about text mentions and no follow? Can you get penalized by this? Is this a ranking signal? And he admitted that this is, and I quote, it's a very small signal, end quote. But that's what he said. He said it's a signal. He said it's a very small one. So I have proof that people are using this. I have proof that people are doing this on every site that I rank. And I list one. You can take a look at it yourself in my video, j.mp/josh2015. This site even has, as I said, even less links now. It had 7 in Webmaster Tools reported and now has 1 in Webmaster Tools reported. You don't need links anymore to rank if you do it absolutely right in a good number of niches. I'm not going to say in every niche because Google could very well change it. So I'm not going to say every niche, but many niches. Okay, and so that's it. So, folks, that's been a lot of information, but I wanted to update you to how things are going on now. Again, they have the quality algorithms and the web spam algorithms are running in real time. Whether they're a Panda or a Penguin or not, it doesn't matter. Your design matters, your micro conversions matter, your task completion matters, your user interface matters. The mentions you have on social, the mentions you have on big social sites and little social sites, on blogs, on forums, on Reddit, on Dig, on Yelp, on Discus, on all these different things. It all matters. The quality you have matters. The spamminess of your site matters. The salesiness of your site matters. Don't be too spammy. Don't have ads popping up and pop-ups and bugging them and close down pop-ups and things like that. Those are the kind of just direct spam things that they're looking for. This all matters. Don't just have a crappy 2008 blog. Definitely don't have it stuffed with tags and keywords and internal links that are exact match query. Do not think of SEO. SEO has entirely changed. It is a complete paradigm shift. Everything you knew about SEO from 2010 or 2011 or buying links and specificity, it is all changed completely. Google is a fast running Tyrannosaurus Rex, and they've changed everything entirely. And if you don't watch them very closely, they're going to trample you or eat you alive. So if you have any, if you're like, if you have any, don't end up being like this dinosaur down here and get eaten by Google. If that scares the hell out of you, by all means contact me. I'm here to help. For the next few weeks, I'm going to be filming my documentary about Google and how Google is treating small businesses in New Jersey and New York City. But email me, contact me, and I'll try to help you out. Again, my email address is joshbachynski@gmail.com. You can watch more videos like this to get free SEO information and the latest SEO scoops of what's going on that hardly anybody knows about, just because they probably don't have the craziness to think like me, to think on the crazy level, because this is pretty crazy. that's what's going on at youtube.com/jbachins. You can find all my other crazy rants there about SEO. And you can follow me at Twitter at joshbachynski. So again, good luck in the SERPs. If you have any problems at all, contact me, and I wish you the best. Bye-bye.